Hello and welcome to Tea and Cornbread, a conversation with Sean and Tracy. I am Sean.
And I'm Tracy.
And we are talking to you all that are 50 and fabulous.
And don't forget handsome.
And we want you to know that we want to get some education happening, some empowerment.
We want to grow with you. We want to learn with you. We want to see what you're doing, 50 and over.
So like, share, comment, follow, subscribe,
grab your
and
tea.
grab your tea. Hey, Tracy.
Hey, Sean.
How are you?
Well, we have a special guest in this building today.
Yes, we do. Tea and Cornbread.
Tea and Cornbread with Sean and Tracy.
Yes, I'm Sean.
And I'm Tracy.
All right.
Okay. Before we get started and before we introduce our guest, I'm going to read our devotional really quick. Again, I'm reading out of Jesus' Calling. And today's devotional says, "Leave outcomes up to me. Follow me wherever I lead, without worrying about how it will turn out. Think of your life as an adventure with me as your guide and companion. Live in the now, concentrating and staying in step with me. When our path leads to a cliff, be willing to climb it with my help. When we come to a resting place, take time to be refreshed in my presence. Enjoy the rhythm of life. Live close to me. You already know the ultimate destination of your journey, your entrance into heaven. So keep your focus on the path just before you, leaving outcomes up to me."
Wow.
That's our word for today.
Yes.
Follow and pay attention.
Yes. Focus.
Yes.
That's why we
Yes.
do our breathing.
Definitely.
To bring that focus.
Bring us back to our center.
Yes, yes. So how was your weekend?
It was good. I'm trying to think. I ran around, didn't get to make it to your empowerment, but I'll be there next time. I ran around doing stuff, and I overlapped myself. I had 3 things on my calendar, and one of them I totally forgot about, but I got nieces that keep me in check.
Yeah, right? It's like, don't forget, Auntie.
I'm like, that wasn't on my calendar.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, it was good. Good.
Awesome.
How about yours?
It was amazing. Same here. Had a couple of things happening. Started my day at 6:30, 7 o'clock yesterday morning, and was in the bed by 10 because we went to a birthday party. Shout out to my cousin, Esther. Esther Mosley turned 75, so we celebrated her yesterday. We had a good time there.
Nice.
And then we had Vibe that morning.
Yes.
That was amazing. And the topic was on relationships. Oh my goodness, that was amazing.
Good. I'm kind of upset that I missed that one.
It's all right. It's all right. We talked about it. It'll keep continuing. You know what I mean?
Good.
So it was great. It was great being with the ladies yesterday. And for those that didn't make it, we lifted them up in prayer, and we just said, that's okay. It was for the people. God made sure the people were there that needed to be there.
Exactly.
And they got what they came for.
Right.
So it was amazing. We talked about all types of relationships.
Good.
So that was
Good.
great. That was great.
Awesome.
Yep,
Glad to hear it.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have a guest this morning.
Yes.
We have Miss Sherry here with us, and Sherry and I have a connection. Sherry said we went to a woman's empowerment a couple of weeks ago, and Sherry said our relationship was like 9.5 years in. I think you're thinking of Talia's age, but I think it's like 14, 15 because the kids were in high school.
That's very true.
The kids were in high school. So I just want to make that correction. We got many years in prior to our baby. We share a granddaughter is what I'm trying to say here. But
Yes.
Sherry is here with us this morning, and what she's going to talk about is the NACA, and is it Chaffa program. I know one person that started out with the program with you, and I heard nothing but positive things. So we wanted to have you on to educate us a little bit more. Let the people know what is out there, because if you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
And I knew nothing about the program until the family member brought it up. Like I didn't even, I knew you were in real estate, but I just didn't know the extent of everything. So we're going to introduce a guest as Sherry, and she's going to talk a little bit about that. So first, tell us how you got started into real estate, because I know prior to that, you were in corrections.
Correct.
So how did you make that transition?
Right.
Okay, sure. That's a good question. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share. But being a correction officer after like 15 years, I used to be a hairdresser.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said,
See, I
man,
didn't
I
know
didn't
that.
want to
Yeah.
go back once I was going to retire. I didn't want to go back standing on my feet. I'm like, what can I do to supplement my income? So I said, man, hear a lot about real estate. Let me get my real estate license. So I did that 2008 and I became a realtor. Loved educating people about selling or purchasing a home or even those that like to rent. So that's pretty much how I got in the industry, and it's been 15 years and it's been a trail. I love
Okay.
it.
Nice. Nice. So the real estate, how is that? How is, I guess, the introduction, the education, the testing, like, can you touch upon that a little bit? Someone that may be interested in it.
Sure, sure. Well, real estate is a process, and a lot of times people don't realize all the moving parts to real estate. Obviously, you have to have employment, or if you're a business owner, you have to have paper trail. You have to have a FICO score. Obviously, they do other ways, but a FICO score helps you tremendously. So that's the first process. And then the NACA, which that's the acronym, but it's called Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America. So what it is, it's a nonprofit organization that helps families get into purchasing a home ownership. But it's a long process. It's about 6 months, sometimes it's a year, because their whole strategy is to be able to teach families about rent patterns. You have to have saving patterns, and you have to be a good steward of your money. So that's the whole psychological. It's a process. The beginning stage is a workshop where they go, they sit you down, they want to know what do you have saved right now? What are your disciplines to paying your bills? Are you one of those that pay on time? They're not so much focused on your FICO score because they can maneuver around that.
Yep.
But what's your discipline? So,
Yeah.
That's awesome. Because when you don't know, so like for instance, I was what, we were 21 years old when we bought our first house, right? We had no clue.
correct.
We had no clue. We knew how to pay bills,
Right.
and we thought that's all it took. But as I get older and learn more, that's not what all it takes.
Right.
And what I love about what you just said is you're teaching people how to fish. You know what I mean? It's like
Yes.
making sure you're setting them up for success.
Yes.
Because for us, we didn't know. Yes, we were disciplined. We knew how to pay our bills. We knew how to save money. We knew all that. But we didn't know the inner workings of it all. We didn't know there was, because we ended up filing bankruptcy at 23, 24, 25 years old. Yeah, about that. We ended up filing bankruptcy because someone recommended us to do that. We didn't know. We didn't have to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? We didn't have to do that because we weren't delinquent or anything like that. But it was getting harder because we have my son at the time had to have surgeries, and his dad was laid off, and we were in a situation where it's like it's going to get harder to pay these bills. So what do we do? And we went to the mortgage company to say, listen, this is what is going on with us. And they were like, yeah, but you're not delinquent. So we couldn't get any help until we were delinquent. And then when you're delinquent, they set you up because then foreclosure can happen because, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So we didn't know any of that. So I'm glad that you're saying, you got to go through the process of learning what your disciplines are or honing those disciplines, right? Or
Absolutely.
teaching somebody and then that way you set you up for keeping your house, set you up for whenever you have an issue, you
How
know
to
what to
handle
do,
it,
how to
yeah.
handle it and things like that. So that's
Yeah.
what it sounds like. And when reading the website, oh my goodness,
Absolutely.
they do so much,
So much.
especially for us. And I will get into it, but I was just like, wow, there's no reason for us to always say we can't.
Or there's nothing
Or
out
there's
there.
nothing out there. There's nobody to help us.
Right.
Nobody wants to help us do whatever. And that's not the truth.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And budgeting.
And
because
budgeting.
That's big.
Very
a lot
important.
of times people don't realize it's not how much you make, but it's what you
How
keep.
you keep,
Right.
right?
So they literally give you a budget workout sheet and say, hey, write everything down, everything you receive, whether it's from your income, child support, alimony, whatever your income is, write it down, and then we want to see what is your spending. They go down to your leisures. How often, your frequency, what do you spend on gas? What do you spend on your groceries? So that way you can visually, and then they map out a plan for you and say, okay, now if you're slacking with your saving, they let you know, because you will not be able to move forward with the process. Let's just say your mortgage is going to be $1,500. You have to have $4,500 saved before they even will allow you to go out to even purchase a house. So it's like many steps, which is good. And then they assist you. You don't have to have a down payment. They do that for you because it's a nonprofit. They have millions of dollars that they get granted. And then for a home inspection, the home inspection is around $600 or $700. They do that for you. They
awesome.
Yeah. So
That is
appraisal
awesome.
fee, every fee there is. And then obviously you have the CHAFA, which a lot of times people are not aware of that. So CHAFA, it's Connecticut Finance and Housing Authority, and that is basically, you would have two mortgages, but that's an avenue too. A lot of times people don't realize, like, okay, the process is sooner. You can close in 60 days, you know, so, and you can get a CHAFA loan with your score being like 580. But again, they're looking at your pattern. What is your stability to pay back the loans?
Right. Wow.
I know it's a lot of information, but it's a lot of good information for somebody that is serious about purchasing a home. Now, maybe you said this and I missed it. Is it for first-time home buyers, or is the program open to anybody wanting to buy a house? Like, maybe I've had a house in the past, maybe I want another house, or is it just first-time home buyers?
Right. So it is for first-time home buyers, and it could be a single family or it can be a multi-family.
Oh, that's nice.
Right.
Nice.
And I think a multi-use too, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
I saw that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was like, so you can buy, if you can buy a multi-use where it has commercial space on the bottom and apartments on top.
Absolutely.
This program is
Right?
awesome. Like, this is I'm so glad that we're talking to you. And I hope that the people are going to listen, that they're going to go on the website, that they're going to get educated. Another thing you said that I found to be very interesting, that, like Sean said, they didn't have anybody guiding them or educating them when they bought their house, because they were so young, and she ended up having to, follow through with bankruptcy, unfortunately. The good thing about your program, you said 6 months to a year. To me, I don't think that's a long time.
It's not.
I think that's because it's an investment at the end of the day.
Right.
Absolutely.
But it also sets you up for success.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because, and they want to make sure that you're a good candidate for buying a house. It's
Exactly.
like, okay, like you said, the disciplines at the beginning.
Definitely.
A budget, and teaching them how to, because, sitting down with a budget, you could do all of that and write that down, but how do you function? How do you handle that, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So teaching them the tools of making sure you're managing your money the right way.
Absolutely, because it's a big responsibility.
Definitely.
And psychologically, a lot of times, especially minorities, they're like, they want all this information. Like, again, they have access, not just your Social Security, but they want all of your bank statements, and they're going to go through them with a
Fine-tooth comb.
You got insufficient funds, and so there's a lot of explanations. But again, it's preparing you, it's prepping you. Once I get it, I want to be able to maintain it.
Right. So once you introduce someone into the program, what is your role, or is that your role, to introduce, to get people signed up? Do you follow through with people, or what exactly is your role once you get people signed into the program?
Right. So NACA has pretty much their own agents. However, I am an agent with them.
Okay.
But because I'm so busy, I do another couple other businesses that I do. That's my primary focus. So I just kind of lead them in that direction, connect them to another agent, and just educate them, let them know, hold their hand through the process, because a lot of people give up because they don't want to go through the process.
Right.
So depending on the client, when they come to me, is it short term? Are you looking for 90 days to purchase a house, or is it going to be 180 days? So depending on their situation, then I'll either stir them to CHAFA or to NACA, and
Okay.
then that's pretty much how the connection starts.
Okay. So you said something that I find interesting too, that people give up because they think they're wanting too much information. The information that you want, is it much differently if I independently went and found an agent myself? Aren't they going to ask the same information?
Absolutely. And I don't even, so as an agent, my job is to tell them the process. Number one, are you employed? Are you working? Because
Right.
paper trail. But they don't give me their social or any of that.
Right.
That's
So you
sensitive.
kind of just vet them to see if they qualify or if they're a
Okay.
good candidate
That is
for
correct.
the
Correct.
programs.
Correct.
Okay.
And then I connect them to, if it's NACA, I connect them to the NACA. If it's CHAFA, not every lender, Bank of America, you have a whole bunch of lenders. So you have to make sure that they have that product, because CHAFA, a lot of the loan officers do not get paid. So there's a lot of companies
Okay.
that do not do
Yeah.
CHAFA. So again,
Okay.
I'm going to be able to say, hey, here's a list of 3 lenders. You can pick whichever one you want because they have that specific product. A lot of times when you get to sit down with clients, they don't realize that if it's CHAFA route, you have to have 3.5% down payment. Do you have that? And they're like, wait a minute, are you trying to want to know my finances? No, I'm just trying to educate you
Right.
which direction we need to go in.
Right.
And then they don't realize you have closing costs. So let's say you have a $150,000 house, that closing cost could be around $13,000. Do you have that in your account? If you don't, then let's focus. Maybe you can do NACA. So I just have to do the intake, and then you position them which option they would like to go to.
Okay. So, okay, I am done everything I needed to do, submitted my paperwork, I got approved. Do you stay, or is there more education that goes into it after I purchase my house? Because I think purchasing the house and getting educated on finances, budgeting needs to carry on. Once I purchase that house and I start making those mortgage payments, not that you're holding people's hand, but is there additional
But sometimes
steps
people need
that,
their
yeah,
hand held for
For
a little bit,
while, yeah.
until it's like coaching,
Educating.
right?
We never stop learning.
Exactly. It's like, and that's it. And you
Yeah.
know what I mean. And if anything, for especially the young people, if it was around when I was that young, you know what I mean. When we were looking into it, because yes, we had money saved up. We had, we qualified for CHAFA. It was CHAFA that we went through. We went through all of that. But if there was this program, I believe we could have gone through this program and then, built upon that, right? Until you get to a point where, because they would have been able to say, you don't have to give up your house. You can still file for bankruptcy if you needed to, but you don't have to give up your house. Because we
Right,
didn't have to
right.
give up. We didn't know until after the fact.
Right.
But I think they were taking advantage of us. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so, if anything, these programs and having this conversation, and thank you again for being here, these conversations are very pertinent for those that say, I want to buy a house because I saved up X amount of dollars and blah, blah, blah. Or just because they just want something for their own. It's not about better, right? Because it's not about better. It's not that they want something better type of thing. It's just that they want something for their own and want to start, and that's where for us, because we were so pushed out and left out,
Right.
and you know what I mean, on purpose,
Right.
that this program is great, because then that brings it back to, listen, we used to own, and we used to this, and we used to that. So let's make sure that these people get set up right, and be able to sustain it. You know what I mean? That goes back to the education, like you said, it should be ongoing. Is it ongoing? And then somebody might say, you know what? I want to teach somebody how to do this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And how do you become an agent? How do you become an agent? And also, how long could a person stay in the program?
Right. So
That's a good question.
Right,
That's
right.
a very good question.
Yes. So it's owner occupancy, whether you're a single family or multifamily. So it is a 5-year lien. Like you cannot, a lot of times investors, this is not the type of program. They don't want you to buy it, reap the benefits of them paying your down payment, your closing costs. your appraisal, your home inspection, and then the next year you flip it. You have to stay in the property minimum of 5 years. So that's the first thing. And then I like to do follow-ups. Every 6 months, I'll follow up and say, hey, how's everything going? But what I do is they do their workshop process, but I let them know you have to have 3 to 6 months, start building, because like I said, NACA makes you have 3 months before they will even approve you. Okay. Now you have to keep adding to that. Now you're going to buy a purchase home. You need a repair savings. So I literally go over buckets of funds that you have to have in the event of an emergency. A furnace, you don't know when your furnace is going to go. You don't know depending on your roof. So there's a lot of education pieces that take place. So my clients love me. That's where a lot of my business, residual business, is from the education. You show them value. You just don't want to make a commission, buy, don't see you anymore.
Right.
So it's the touches, it's the follow-up. And then as far as a lot of people are interested, I'm interested in real estate. Now, real estate is great. You make money, but you got to work. If you don't have great work ethic, then real estate might be a little hard. You have fees. You probably pay about $2,500 a year in fees. Great career, but you just have to love working with people. And again, you don't get compensated. It could take 45 days or 60 days, but it is a great industry.
So that's something you really want to love.
Yes.
Like you said, because if you don't, and you don't push yourself to do it, it's not going to be profitable. It's not going to help,
because a lot of
maintain
people,
your house.
Right. A lot of people go into it because they see the glitz and glamour.
Yeah, that big old check. Oh, I'm going to
They're
sell
like,
a house and I'm going to get a $5,000 check.
But it may take you a year to sell a house,
Yeah.
especially when you first get in.
Exactly.
Right? So you use that to be your side hustle to start
Right.
with.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But then you take advantage of getting under people that might mentor them that's doing well, and like Vicky was saying before, she was like, I eat, sleep. And it's either I'm going to go in or I'm not.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If I'm going to make this my income, if I'm going to make this, my bread and butter, then what do I need to do?
Yeah.
And
it's your own business.
every day, it's your own
business.
absolutely. That's just like we're hairdressers.
Absolutely.
Right? We're hairdressers. If you don't show up or
you don't get paid. Simple.
I don't feel like it today. I'm gonna cancel everybody today. You know what I mean? That's not an option.
Right.
Absolutely. And there's so many interesting stories. And I tell them, listen, you have to be consistent. Yeah. You have to pay your bills. I remember one time, and I coached a client all the way through the process. We were supposed to close, let's say, the 5th. The rent is due on the 10th. There was some hiccups along the way that delayed the closing. So they didn't pay their rent.
Oh, no.
So, of course, they're going to check to make sure literally the deal fell through. Because
she was like, well, why would I pay my rent when I'm about to close and I'm going to be moving?
Exactly. So,
and it was reported immediately.
Correct. So I coached them all the way through the process. You can't open any new credit line and all that. So it's a lot of moving pieces where I literally have a check sheet and say, hey, listen, this is your responsibility. Me as your agent, I have a responsibility, but this is a dual thing. You got to do yours and I'll do mine.
Right.
So.
But as a realtor too, we were talking about, like the business of it is it's work. Like you said, you're not gonna get a check tomorrow. You might get a check in 45 days and 60 days, and it might take 15 to 30 days to even get to a point of a closing date. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so, so that means you got to have more than one in the process, right?
Yeah.
You can't just have one. You got to have more than one in the process.
Absolutely. And then you could show a house. It could be someone's 5th house or it could be someone's 25th house.
Oh.
So you're responsible. You can't ask them for gas money or anything. This is your business. So you're putting the upfront work, and then you reap the benefit once you get to
it's done.
closing table. But again, you have a broker that's involved. If you don't own if you're not a broker, then you have an agent. So there's many, pieces, many moving parts, to it. But it's a great industry. I love it just for the education.
I was going to say that you seem to really like what you're doing. Well, like you said, you love what you're doing, and I think you have to. love it, and you have to be a people person.
Right.
You have to be willing to be in people's faces, educate, talk to them. Do you run into a lot of times where people, unfortunately, you have to, I don't want to say drop the deal, but like you said, the young lady, she didn't follow through on paying her last month's rent prior to her moving into her houses. Do you have a lot of times where people go through the program and unfortunately, maybe under their own doing, want to back out or don't want to go through with something,
Right. I've never had that because I do the upfront. I take them in. It's a consultation.
Okay.
And once they're committed to their process part, then I'm all in. But so it's
That's
teamwork.
good.
You have to you have to do your work and then let them know of the expectations from, consistency from work and even your jobs. I let them know you have to stay current. Like sometimes they say, "Oh, well, let's just say if you're a nurse, you can't be per diem. You have to you have to be full time. You can't be here or there, and you just can't take it upon yourself and say, "Hey, I'm going to go and take a pay cut," because again, when you get approved, it's based on your income, your debt to income ratio. So there's a lot of moving parts, but again, it's like anything else. People perish for lack of knowledge. If you're educated, then you can make good decisions. So that way, once you get it, you'll be able to keep it.
So there was two programs through NACA that I was curious about. The hot PHA choice voucher, when people that are on Section 8 still can qualify to buy a home. And then the other one was the City $1 program.
Yes, absolutely. And again, there's certain qualifications that you have to have for that, but absolutely, because that's the whole. And with minorities, they want people to have equal opportunity. If this one can do it, you can do it too.
Right.
So they're saying just because you might get subsidy, it doesn't stop you.
Right.
So again, you obviously have to have some type of income, but then as long as you're being consistent, you're following all your compliance issues with Section 8, absolutely, all those doors are open for you.
Wow.
Nice.
I had a conversation. One of my girlfriends works in the mortgage industry, and I believe she works for Bank of America. I'm not positive, but she said, "Did you know that you can buy a house even if you're on Section 8?"
Yes.
And I said, "What?"
Yes.
And then when I saw this, I said, "Oh, that's what she was talking about." I didn't look into it, when she mentioned it. But when doing my research with, because I've heard of NACA, I'm not really familiar with it, like the ins and outs of it. So thank you again. But even with the City $1 program, I knew that existed, but I thought it existed only for either investors or for the what they call city workers. I'm gonna say like the fire departments and the police departments, because they wanna encourage them to live in the neighborhoods that they serve.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I thought that only applied to that, but it doesn't. It applies to anyone that qualifies through the program, right?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. A lot of times the city employees, there's a lot of perks. If you're law enforcement, nurses, certain industries, they have a lot of different options.
And even with city employees, right?
Correct. Yep.
Ah.
Yep.
Let me tell you something. I was looking at that thing. I said, "Oh, I didn't know,
Yes.
I didn't know that there was so much to offer." And like I said again, I'm so glad that it's there, and it's for setting people up for success.
Definitely.
And people will look at it, going through the program, taking 6 months. I want to buy my house in 3 months, or a year. I want to buy my house now.
They got to be realistic.
They
though,
have
too.
to, right? And
right.
but it's the mindset too.
Yeah.
So this helps with the mindset of the purpose of buying. And then once they're done and they do their 5 years, I'm gonna say they do their 5 years, right?
Right.
In their houses and stuff like that, and they're learning. Then they can use this as a catalyst of
Stepping stone.
stepping stone into investing in real estate.
Absolutely.
Investing in real estate and teaching, dealing with people that are going through the program, like sending people through the program so that,
Right.
when, say, for instance, flipping a house, you know what I mean? or commercial, or just the education alone is worth it.
It is. It
And
is.
it does teach you discipline.
Right. And they do refinancing too. That's
really?
Right. Absolutely. So there's so many. It's such an amazing program,
Yeah.
So definitely send, anyone
people-
reach out.
yeah.
Send them the link. You can
Okay.
even send them the link. And then obviously, if they wanted to make the connection, I can always, start
Yeah.
the process. But there's a workshop. They just have to
They have
go
to go
on
to the
and-
workshop.
Right. Yep.
Well,
Put in
share
their-
share your information while we're here, so people can reach out to you if they want to get into the program.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
So,
So, my phone number is 203-598-2641, or my email is Sherry, SHERRYR 593 @gmail.com.